Welcome to economics class. Today we will look at some aspects of everyday life in a command economy. We will take the example of the Soviet Union, which implemented a command economy for more than 70 years. In his book, The Russians, New York Times writer Hedrick Smith described an odd but routine aspect of life in the Soviet Union: waiting in line. He uses some everyday examples, like people waiting in line 90 minutes to buy 3 pineapples, or 3.5 hours to buy 3 heads of cabbage, sometimes only for the produce to run out before the buyer reached the front of the line. Some of his examples are more obscure, like waiting 18 hours through a December night to register to buy a car that will take another 18 months to arrive, or a story from a friend who witnessed a 2-day-long line of 10,000 to 15,000 people waiting to register to buy a rug, an opportunity that came once a year in Moscow. In 1952, Harry Schwartz, another New York Times writer, focused on the more positive aspects of Soviet society. He wrote that citizens receive free medical care and don't have to worry about unemployment. He noted that elderly and disabled receive social insurance, and working mothers are provided with free child care. In a 1954 article for the New York Times titled "The Russian Peasant Wars on the Kremlin," T.P. Whitney describes the life and mindset of a worker on a large collective farm. Andre and his family members have been assigned to work on a collective farm, but notes that most of their produce is collected by a local Communist Party boss. He and his family resent ending up with so little, and as a result have begun working slower. These first examples came through the lens of U.S. journalists. However, our last example comes from a 16-year-old girl named Katya living in Moscow in the 1980s. In a letter, she describes capitalists as rich people who own factories. She notes that in capitalism, the factory is owned by one person, but in communism, it is owned by the government. She concludes that she has heard that unemployment in the United States is a big problem, and that she favors communism because it gives the individual more opportunity to live well, and they don't have to worry about losing their jobs. These accounts show several aspects of life in a command economy, both the pros and the cons. In theory, basic needs were met by the government, if very slowly, but some big choices were made for you, like your career.